Good morning, everybody. I hope you are having so far, a very happy New Year's Eve. You know, I was really surprised when I left this morning and went to hit my garage door and went up about halfway and stopped. So I thought, yes, it's not going to open. I can't get my car up. Then I remember Kathy had her car in the driveway, so I was like, and then as we're driving down the road, Kathy says, "What's that line across your windshield?" I was like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me. I had a little crack in my windshield, and there it went, you know, so now I got to replace that." But I am going to talk about, or preach about, resolution. And the sermon is entitled Resolution, Not Reunion. And I found it fitting because if you look at like the last series, we had rethinking, restoration. And then this next one, we're having rethinking. So it's kind of the direction of the church. And I thought, you know, what's something right in the center of that? And I thought of resolution because it's always been challenging to me on New Year's Eve when we all stay up till 12 o'clock tonight, right? And we pick a resolution. Is everybody going to stay up till 12 tonight? No? I'm probably not either. But yeah, you know, I just thought of all the people in the congregation and the ages that we have here and all of the resolutions that are in this room that we have put forward. You know, some resolutions that have gone forward and some resolutions that haven't. Some that we've done pretty well at and some that we haven't. But I'm very intrigued, though, at what some of your resolutions would be tonight as the clock strikes 12:01. So I know that, I think, Steve, I got a slide. You could probably tell what my resolution, this is in 2010. Anybody see what my resolution was for 2011?
Pay for college.
Pay for college? No, I was about 275 pounds there. And since then, I've lost about 60 pounds. So it was a long and gradual thing, but I succeeded. But you know, I talked to a few people in the last week about what their resolutions would be. And I talked to Pastor Carrie, and Pastor Carrie said that she wanted to get a little stronger. Wow. So, which one do you want to start off with? And Pastor Chris said he wanted to further his leadership. So, got a really good book, Lincoln on Leadership. And Tink, all right, Tink said he would like to strengthen his relationship. So there you go, Tink. Next year. You never know what the Lord's going to bestow of you for next year. But I want to say, you know, kidding aside or whatever, you know, when you think of like Rachel's testimony she gave last week, it was very, very emotional and very endearing. But you can tell that, you know, we're all broken. I mean, regardless. I mean, there's just no way that we can get past that. You know, and I'm going to share some things with you, and you know, that's going to probably be pretty hard for me to share. But when I think of the brokenness, I think of the cause of being broken. And one of the most significant causes to being broken is that we have some type of conflict in our lives. And if you think about the different types of conflict we have, it usually gets in our way. One of the things I got to kind of talk lightly around, and I might have mentioned it before, but when I was in the Air Force at the 10-year mark, I was honored and humbled to get a job in human relations. And it was at Nellis Air Force Base, and Nellis Air Force Base is is a very hopping base, a very busy base. It's got the Thunderbirds, it's got a bunch of other stuff there, some stuff I can't even talk about. But one of the things I did there is I did conflict resolution, mediation, alternate dispute resolution, and also organizational assessments. And I thought of conflict and I thought, you know, how far can conflict go? I mean, sometimes we have conflict in our life and it could be an argument. It could really be anything, you know, but what's the extent, how far can it go? And I just wanted to share with you that I did a organizational assessment, and there were times when we had to do them, they were kind of like a routine type of an assessment, where when a commander got a new unit, within 6 months we had to do an assessment, and then 2 years after, or the base commander at Nellis Air Force Base would call our office in and say, hey, I want you to go into this unit because it's not doing too good. And I got called into a unit, and at the time I was the superintendent of the office, and it had to be a high level, so I had to do the organizational assessment. And what had happened is when I went in and I gave the in-brief to the actual commander there, because my human relations training, I could tell something was wrong with this commander. And so I gave him the in-brief, and then we did a bunch of surveys, and then when we tallied up all the surveys, I was supposed to go back and give this commander a mid-brief, okay? But when I went to go give the commander the mid-brief, a bunch of mayhem was breaking out. And he said, you're not giving me the briefing, just stand tight. And so I met this other person. He came up to me and he introduced himself to me and he said, I'm the new acting commander. So obviously this commander, based on the survey, had been taken out of his position as commander because so much conflict had gone on. Well, when I met the person was a major, the acting commander. He was also a pilot of the Pave-Hawk helicopter. And one of the things that I asked, and this is kind of delicate, is, you know, we had deployed a lot back then. This was, you know, the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. And one of my recommendations was, you know, maybe have another base start deploying their troops. And the base commander, for one reason or another, couldn't do that. So what happened is about 6 months after I did the organizational assessment, we got a call, and 2 Pave-Hawk helicopters had collided uprange from Nellis Air Force Base. 12 airmen died, and the major that was the acting commander was one of the people that died. And it was one of the most sombering moments in my life because they had the Thunderbird hangar there, the actual acrobatic team, the Thunderbirds stationed there. And so you have 12 reefs, you know, it's a beautiful hangar, it's all red, white, and blue, the floors are painted. And to sit there and watch 12 families that lost their airmen, you know? And that's the extent of conflict in our life. And I think that, you know, it's very important that, that we really take that into consideration, you know? But why do we have conflict? I mean, that's a pretty easy question. You know, we have conflict because we have spousal arguments. The slides, I like these because it talks about clash, and I underline clash because a lot of times we do clash, you know, husbands and wives. Zach and Katie, my son and daughter, they clash like you would not believe, and it drives me literally up a wall, you know. And so what I did, believe it or not, I went out and I bought them a Rock'em Sock'em robot, because now basically when they start arguing, I'm just going to say it's like flipping a coin, you know. Whoever knocks the one off 10 times is the winner. So, you know, because I really dislike conflict. I mean, I avoid conflict like it's the plague. But what's one of the greatest reasons for conflict? One of it's our pride, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, because our pride gets in our way. And I like the part that says we do battle, because everybody that does battle. I remember one time my skateboard when I was younger was in my sister's bedroom, and she wouldn't open up her bedroom so I can get my skateboard because I really like skateboarding. And so finally when I got her to open the door, she slammed the door and my fingers got caught in the door. And I was screaming, I was pleading, and I had a bowl of chili in my hand while this was happening. And when she opened the door, I went to go throw the bowl of chili, and she ducked and hit her friend Teresa. And, you know, that's kind of the consequences of how far, I'm just giving you examples of how far, you know, conflict can go. I mean, it can go all the way from just a small fight, to a quarrel, to death. I mean, look at what's going on over in the Middle East right now. You know, that's a full-blown conflict going on. And in the military, you see those type of things. But what can we do as a church? You know, what do we do as a church to maybe suspend conflict? One of the things we do is we hold our judgment, right? There was a video on Facebook and the internet that was floating around not too long ago, and I showed it when I taught a Bible study class a couple weeks ago, and it was of this pastor that